All right, let's get to this week's Friday feedback. See what is on your minds. You can always email me, info@davidpakman.com. We will feature comments, replies from many platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Substack, and others. But you can always email info@davidpakman.com. We start today with a question from Jeff Gates. Many of you asked this question from Spotify. What happened to yesterday's show? I went back to finish listening to it, and it's not on Spotify anymore. We had a really frustrating issue on Spotify. Specifically, this only applies to Spotify, where due to some kind of new system for how Spotify identifies music from other people, a bunch of our episodes, either because of our intro music or in one case, because of the music that was part of a Trump Truth Social video, Spotify algorithmically flagged episodes and said, you don't have the rights for these audio tracks. We are removing your episodes, which obviously is terrible. And it's just like crushed the ability of people in our audience to just listen to the show. But it appears to have been fixed. Spotify has put a fix in place. We've provided licenses or other justifications for the audio tracks that we use on the show, including the intro music. And I believe that all is copacetic now. But if it happens again, we are not going in and, deleting episodes after publishing them or anything like that. It would be a technical explanation. Dr. Canny Stark wrote on Substack, "Thank you for this summary, David. Depressingly disgusting, though most of the information is. I hope that I live to see the day when democracy is restored in your country. Love from Canada." It's really, it's sad, but it's also heartwarming. The degree to which my foreign listeners are worried about us here in the United States and have been writing to me about, we're worried about you. I hope that things get better. And I have heard over the last week from viewers that I know about. I'm sure, we get 5,000 comments a day across all platforms, but that I know about, many from Canada, from Mexico, the UK, Argentina, Germany, Sweden, Spain. The people in Spain who just talk about how great quality of life is there love to write in and go, we've got it pretty good here. Even if on paper, salaries are much lower. We live a good life in Spain and we feel bad for what's going on in the United States. It is heartwarming to see the concern and also depressing that so many people are looking around and going, man, what the hell is going on there in the United States? Robert Goldman says, Trump derangement syndrome much? It's like you'd have no show if you had anything else to talk about. I sure hope it's stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, one of the things that is as old as this show is that since the beginning, I would hear from people who don't like the show, if X goes away, you'll have no more show. For a while, it was, if George W. Bush goes away, you'll have nothing left to talk about. And next thing I knew, Barack Obama was president. It triggered insane racism and xenophobia from Republicans desperate to contradict Obama at every step. Obamacare passed, and now Republicans were determined to get rid of it. The Tea Party surged. Then it was Obama's reelection. Are they going to take the presidency away from Obama? And then they didn't. And then the second term of Obama shifted into what is next for the Republican Party. Then came Trump. And then it was like, oh my God, when Obama's gone, Republicans are going to be much more normal. You won't have anything to talk about. And in came Trump. And then it was, wow, now it's Trump. If Trump loses to Biden, you'll have nothing to talk about. And then Biden won. And then it was, oh, Trump really won the election and Trump's getting charged. And it's always been the case that there are 15, 20 people a month that write in and they go, if this one thing changes, if this one person loses or wins or whatever, the show will be over because you'll have nothing to talk about. And yet The show is bigger today than it ever has been. 7 million followers, 150 million views per month. And so if I've learned anything from doing this, and I'm starting to sort of explore how to write about this, the ubiquity of news in my forthcoming book, which I'm 2 or 3 chapters into right now. It's that people care about what's going on in the world. And for as long as we still have elections, people react to what is the person I voted for doing, or what is the person I didn't vote for who won doing. And so I think that we're probably going to be okay, Robert, but I appreciate the concern. Robin Euler asks, as someone who's retired, how could I participate in a general strike hypothetically? Well, that's a great question. We are increasingly talking about, is this the time for a general strike? Meaning, it's time to bring the economic pillars of the economy to a grinding halt to try to encourage some kind of change at the top of the federal government. If you're not working, what do you have to strike from? The truth is, if you're not working, you can still participate in a general strike. General strikes often coincide with mass assemblies of people in urban centers. Whether you have a job or not, you can participate in that. General strikes sometimes also are combined with reducing economic activity strategically. Whether you're retired or working, you can participate in that. There are activism opportunities. There are opportunities to engage in different ways with people in power. So just because you don't have a job to not go to if there were to be a general strike doesn't mean that you can't participate in a meaningful way. No Tonight wrote in about food stamps on Reddit. The user No Tonight 9856 says things are going to get really bad if people lose SNAP benefits. There are millions of people who depend on food stamps to feed their families. I also happen to have a 64-year-old mother who relies on a combination of that and disability checks to provide for herself. One of the worst things that can happen right now is for a large number of people who are already struggling to suddenly lose access to food. A person with a hungry family can go from being rational and law-abiding to doing whatever it takes to survive, even if that means breaking the law or hurting someone else. That shit has real implications beyond politics. We're probably going to see an increase in crime if this goes on long enough. I'm not offering a solution here, and I know a lot of folks already get this, but it's just been heavy on my mind with the news about SNAP benefits possibly coming to a halt next month. There's only so much people can take before survival instinct kicks in. Don't even get me started with healthcare, because I know it's probably next in line. Posting this more out of curiosity. Yeah, this post gets to something we've talked about before. Not only, I believe that there is a moral and ethical case to be made for providing everybody with access to healthcare, access to food, and access to basic housing. Now, a lot of conservatives love to come in and go, they don't deserve it. We're just going to be a country of freeloaders. The government can't solve every problem for people. We're not talking about solving every problem. We're saying, as a rich, developed country, food, shelter, and healthcare are bare minimums. If you aren't convinced by the moral argument, by the ethical argument, there is an argument about crime and economics and fiscal conservatism to be made, which is that when we've studied what happens when people don't have access to those things, we know that crime goes up. We know that antisocial behavior goes up. When people have no shelter, no access to healthcare, and no food, they become more willing, in many cases, to commit crimes. Not everybody, but it raises the crime level. It has social costs. It puts uninsured people in the emergency room, slowing down and delaying care for people. It puts people in positions of living on the streets, which can be bad for local businesses who then have less revenue and pay less in taxes, and that hurts the economy. It is both morally right, but also fiscally conservative in a sense, and socioculturally desirable for everybody to have shelter, food, and access to healthcare. And taking away food stamps, exactly like this viewer suggests, is going to put the same kind of pressure for societal problems. Hero Fighter 24 posted on the subreddit, who do you think will be candidates in the 2028 presidential election? Personally, I think these will be the candidates, wrote Hero Firefighter. For the Democrats, Gavin Newsom or J.B. Pritzker. VP AOC, Klobuchar, or Gretchen Whitmer. On the Republican side, he writes, J.D. Vance, VP is Ron DeSantis or Marco Rubio. What about you? What are your predictions? Note, please, none of the there won't be an election stuff, because states run elections, not the federal government, so it is impossible to cancel them. Yeah, it's too early for me to start making predictions, but I do think Newsom and Pritzker are plausible candidates for Democrats. AOC as VP, maybe. I don't really see Klobuchar or Whitmer going for VP, but that's just my instinct. I'm not sure. It does seem that J.D. Vance, at least for now, is the heir apparent to the Trump throne. I don't know that I see DeSantis willing to be J.D. Vance's VP. He's quite a bit older, and I don't know that he would go for playing second fiddle to Vance. And potentially the same thing for Marco Rubio. I don't know that Marco Rubio would be up for that, but it does seem that J.D. Vance, unless Republicans choose to go in a different direction, which they probably should for the good of the country and the world, but I don't know if they will. I don't know that there is a real Trump seems okay with crowning J.D. Vance the heir apparent. Combo Nickel 55 wrote in and said, hopeful at the number of older 55 plus white people at my No Kings protest in MAGA country. I live in rural Michigan near Hillsdale College. My county voted over 70% Trump. Most older white people that I meet lean heavily to the right. I was pleasantly surprised at the volume of white people over the age of 55 at the rally I attended. I hope it is a sign of good things to come. Agreed and presented without comment. I saw the same thing, and I think it's a great thing. This was a No Kings that really engaged a large demographic swath of the country, also ideologically different. I don't mean that there were hardcore right-wingers at No Kings, but there was a range from further left to center left. And everybody mostly was getting along, and it seemed like an extraordinarily successful protest. All right, finally from YouTube, Job Hyajkap, I hope I pronounced that correctly, says, amazing how our government works. We're building a ballroom during a shutdown using money that nobody seems to know the source of. And Mikey, meaning MAGA Mike Johnson, still insists he can't legally swear in Adelita Grijalva. What a country. Yeah, it's not only that. I mean, we have a president that is completely incoherent, making unhinged and disoriented political speeches during Asia trips to members of the military. We have true fascists that work for Trump, pushing a level of authoritarianism we've not seen in I don't know how long. I mean, there are a lot of things happening right now that are stunning to even acknowledge. And to go back to one of the earlier messages, people in other countries are realizing this, and they understand how crazy this is. What does it say about our country that half of our country seems unable to recognize the horrors of what's going on, while most of the rest of the world gets it, even though we're here and they're not? Terrifying, terrifying stuff. We have a phenomenal bonus show for you today. Make sure you sign up at joinpakman.com to get instant access. You can use the coupon code It Will End Soon to save about 50% off of the cost of your membership. And I want to say a big thank you to Jared Huffman and Glenn Otero, our newest two members at joinpakman.com. I'll see you on the bonus show. Appreciate you watching. Stick around for this next video, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you actually see our uploads. You can also catch the full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.